So this is it then, the all-new BMW 3 Series, complete with more style, more space, a little less weight, and a raft of new challenges to face when it goes on sale in 2012. The version we drive here is the £29,000 328i in sport trim, and that will be followed next year by a vast range of different versions. So I've spent a day and a half in the new 3 Series now, and the verdict is very, very good indeed. I really like this car for all sorts of reasons. The first thing you notice about this car on the move is just how light and agile and nimble on its feet it feels compared with the last car. And that comes for all sorts of reasons, not just because the car itself is lighter by about 40 to 45 kilograms, depending which model you're talking about, but also just the control weights. So you have a throttle pedal whose map changes, and actually the resistance to your foot changes depending on which mode you have it on. We'll come to that later. The steering weight itself changes, but is always fundamentally really nice and light, really nice and precise. Lovely steering actually in this car. Even the suspension settings can be altered through a huge range to change the personality of the car when you're on the move. And although that might sound a bit complex and OTT, it actually works really well. It doesn't feel like a kind of science experiment on the move. It feels, as the 3 Series always has, a really natural car to drive. This model is the 328, which, somewhat confusingly, particularly to a Neanderthal like me, is actually not powered by a 6-cylinder engine anymore. It's powered by a 2-litre 4-cylinder engine. Although it might sound a bit wimpish after the 6-cylinder engine, the numbers it generates are very impressive. You've got 241 bhp, 258 pounds-feet of torque, 0 to 62 in 5.9 seconds, and here's the killer, 44 mpg on the combined cycle. You just cannot knock that. On the practical side of things, you get a bit more space because overall the car is a little bit bigger, it's a bit wider. Another key new feature on this car is this system down here, which allows you to change all sorts of parameters, not just of the steering and the throttle, but the gear change quality. And it's got this new system called Eco Pro, which encourages you to basically try and get as much economy out of the car as possible. I mean, it changes the throttle map a bit, so it gives you a slightly dead throttle, which means you can't just get big bursts of acceleration when you don't necessarily want it to. But you get all these gauges in the dash too to help you out to drive the car as economically as possible. And they reckon that that improves the economy of this car by about 20%. As standard, you get a 6-speed manual gearbox, but in this one there is the new 8-speed flappy paddle box. And all I can say is just go for it if you can afford to. It is really smooth. The upshifts or downshifts are so fast. Just tick the box if you can afford to. I guess it would be quite easy to be put off by all this technology and ecological responsibility that they've engineered into this car. But don't let that put you off, not at all, because fundamentally, the bottom line about this car is that it is still really good to drive. The handling isn't just good, it's great. It's better than it ever has been, straight up. The steering is lovely. Everything about the way this car drives is really rather nice. It's a new 3 Series, and it's a very good new 3 Series. Actually, I think it's the best 3 Series there's ever been.